Well, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Wananyuki Cheese Cafe. So I'm thinking to myself, we're in the first weekend of May, and it's kind of hard to believe that the first 4 months of 2024 have already gone away. And it's kind of hard to believe that April was such a spastic month, because I remember years ago that I would be doing some recording in March and April also, where I would be doing some barbecuing in the backyard. Obviously, because of some snow that kept coming back to us and biting us in the ass, that meant I wasn't able to get a jump start on my grilling as early as I wanted to. But you know what? We're going to be ringing it in today, first weekend in May, and also first weekend where I'm going to be doing, first grilling episode I'm doing with the wireless mic. I've shown it off a few times in the last few videos, but you know what? This is going to be great because it actually opens up a lot more around here to be able to get some grilling done and some movement, so it'll be easy for me to talk without worrying about a wire. And today's recipe is going to be tuna steak. I've shown it off on my social media before with a picture, but it's going to be a marinated one, and it's something that's very simple to do when you're with the ingredients you could probably find in your pantry. We're going to do that with a nice salad today and a classic potato. But before we do get to that, my apologies everyone. Got sick over my vacation, and even though I'm starting to feel a lot better, that cough, it still isn't going to go away for a little while. I know what I'm like. I've been like that for years. Regardless, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button below and put your notification bell on. That way, if there's a new video that's ready for viewing, you're gonna get a pop-up that's ready to watch. Plus, just do me a favor, give me a like right away, even if you haven't watched a single thing on this yet, because the more likes I get, the more this content is promoted all across YouTube, so you're gonna be helping me out much more than you think. And anyways, an IPA glass. Very interesting. Nothing. You know, what exactly is the point of leaving a glass if no one's going to leave me a beer here? I kind of feel like that there's something around here, like it's hidden in my usual spots. Maybe I should do some exploring right now, Doc. Very delicious. I don't get it. Every time I look in my shrubs, there's always a brand new beer that I could pull out of there. It's like, it's a treasure trove where you can't grow money from a tree, but apparently you can grow beer from it. I don't know. It's almost like my backyard is like a Legend of Zelda dungeon. Not that I'm complaining, because at least I'm finding beers as opposed to moblins trying to attack me. Nobody needs that. And if you're wondering what I'm having right now, it's something brand new, or at least I don't remember having this before. Something from the Medley brewery, or Thousand Islands in case you want to know what that means in English. And it's the Hazy IPA 5. Hazy IPA 5, that probably means that IPA 1 through 4 weren't really successful, or they're just experimental at best. But when you think Hazy IPA, you're thinking of New England IPAs, obviously, just by the color of it, and the fact that some of my friends like to point out, it looks like orange juice. I dig it. It's like 6.5%, so it's a nice strong one. And in terms of brewery, the one that I know pretty well is the Sabro Juicy IPA, which is also made by them. And it's one that I have on tap a lot of times if ever I'm at Chez Ernest up at Plaza Saint-Hubert, which I've covered a number of times. So if you want, I'll put a card in the top right corner for you to watch one of those episodes again, because it's a really cool spot. Good beer, pretty good food, good shows, but also really awesome decor. And I have my IPA glass here because I have a few of these in my cabinet, And from what I've read, there's certain beer glasses that help you taste it much better. Like apparently because you have this stem here where there's a little bit of beer that gathers up, it's supposed to bring out the hoppy taste in that. If that's really true, I have no idea, because it's a little bit like wine glasses where you have a red wine glass, white wine glass, you wrap your meat up in some kind of a thread or it's in a mesh to kind of make sure it cooks evenly. It's like probably these rules that somebody came up with, but fuck if I know if it's actually truth or someone just bullshitting us. The important thing is this is delicious and it's a great starter before we start working on the barbecue. Oh wait, what am I doing? That's as good of a cheers as I'm gonna get if I'm not wandering. Well, now that I got my beer out of the way, it's time to prepare the marinade for the tuna. So this is one recipe that I found online that I wanted to use. Thing is that what they call for is to use it for 2 to 4 tuna steaks, but for my purposes, I only get it one at a time, just because I'm the only one that eats that, and I'm not going to be doing a whole bunch at once, just to keep it fresh. So I've kind of put my own modifications to make it easier for one person. It's easy stuff. Again, most of this is already going to be in your pantry, depending on what kind of cooking you do. So first thing you're going to need is you're going to need like 1 medium mixing bowl. You need enough room for your marinade and also enough room for the tuna steak, depending on the size that you get. And we're just going to get onto this right now. So first thing you're going to use is maybe some olive oil, 1 tablespoon worth. I know, seems like a lot, but you really want to get this all coated up well. And you're going to notice I use a different brand of olive oil right now, because trying to find an affordable real olive oil in 2024 feels like it's almost impossible, because everything is going to be so overpriced these days, it's not even funny. And I'm not going to be going for the cheap stuff. I like real olive, thank you very much. And sidetrack all things considered. I'm going to get to the next step. Tablespoon of lemon juice. Thing about lemon juice, well, the thing about this recipe is they say you would need to juice the equivalent of maybe 1 or 2 lemons. I don't usually use enough lemons to justify buying them, so that's why I use lemon juice over here, plus 1 tablespoon worth. The thing is too is that it lets me squirt this out so it cleans off the olive oil from my spoon. So that way I have minimal waste and also have minimal cleanup to do afterwards. There you go. So you got the liquid out of the way. Those can be kept aside. Next thing you're going to need maybe is plain old table salt or coarse salt if you're someone who really prefers to use that. For 2 to 4 steaks, the recipe I saw said you could use 1 teaspoon worth, but from my practice when I was doing this at home, I never really needed that much, and I always felt like a 1/4 teaspoon at best was enough to really get me the right flavor that I needed. Plus, it's a bit healthier too. Lower sodium probably means that is much better for you in the long run. It's a little bit like trying to control your fat content. Yeah, I've been talking about that a lot these days, but I don't know. It's just the little things that you start to think about when you approach 40. It really makes you think about the little changes you can make for yourself. But next thing I'm going to need is some black pepper. Fine black pepper for about 1/4 teaspoon also, and then add it in here. Now usually these are like the basic ingredients that you would need for a lot of your seasoning mixes. Some you won't need for that because depending on what you make, like Italian seasoning, it's not going to be required. But anyways, next I'm going to use some paprika. I saw a recipe that said you could use smoked paprika. I don't really have smoked paprika, just regular paprika or sometimes Hungarian, but I think that's also going to be good. If I really want to get this smoked up, I could just use some liquid hickory that I have in the pantry. But I don't think it's going to be needed simply because this thing is going to be smoked up as it is. Oh yes, and I'm doing 1/2 teaspoon as opposed to 1/4 teaspoon. And you're going to see why afterwards. Next, you could probably get some parsley also. Maybe, well, you know what, I think I'm just going to do 1/4 teaspoon worth of this because I really don't feel like I'm going to need too much of it. For a lot of recipes I see, the parsley is going to give like maybe minor flavoring, but in other cases it's really just used for coloring and presentation. I don't know, your mileage may vary depending on who you're talking to, and maybe with some of your other cooking, then you might actually find a better use for it. Okay, next up is cumin, or cumin. How did I pronounce that the last time? regardless. I'm going to use about a good half a teaspoon also for this. And I'm probably going to want to ration it too, because I know I'm going to need another 2 tablespoons worth of this down the road. The reason is that cumin is one of the ingredients that you use if you want to make your own curry powder. I'm starting to run out, and I know that I'm going to need to have to refill it down the road. And that's like one of the main reasons I carry this in my pantry. Oh yeah, curry powder. If you want to see that, just click the link in the top right corner, and then you can see me when I did a video last year of preparing it from start to finish. And again, it's really easy to do. You can adjust it to your liking, but you also have a lot of control. Then your last ingredient is probably going to be some ground up coriander. I noticed some recipes that say you could use fresh coriander. But the thing is, I'm not exactly in planting season yet. Where I live, it's easier to get my planting done around Victoria Day weekend, which is the third weekend in May, just because at that point, the weather starts to stabilize finally. Before that, you're always going to get the last little bit of snow, sometimes frost, and whatever cold weather that's remnant of winter. And I kind of learned that the hard way last year, because I did do some planting, and it was like the week before Victoria Day weekend, and we got some last minute frost, so I kind of put a damper on those plans. So you got to be careful. Anyways, that's I keep rambling on and on. What I want to say now is that once you do have all these in the bowl, you just have to start mixing it up. Then what you want to do is get it all dissolved and make it a nice consistent, thickness. So you know, so it was lemon juice, olive oil, all those seasonings, and then, let's see if I can get a look on camera. So, I don't know if it's obvious, but it does become very red because of the paprika in here. That kind of binds everything together and gives it the shading. So then once that's done, the only other thing left to do is to get your tuna steak. And I have that in the fridge still defrosting, and we're going to be right back. But first, need a sip. There we are. So I just fished up the fish in the fridge. Yep, pun intended. Now, you can find your tuna steaks in a variety of ways in most of your stores. Like you can get it freshly cut over at your, like a fish shop. You can get it probably pre-packaged. I get mine frozen just because I never always know when I'm going to want to eat that. So it's a way to keep it in the freezer until the time comes. The good news is that it comes vacuum packed, so you're able to keep it aside for as long as you need. But the thing is that you're going to have to let it thaw out. One trick that I use for thawing out my stuff is that, well, you got to keep it in the refrigerator while it's thawing, just so you can keep the freshness of it. But I also keep it in cold water to help speed up the process just a little bit. Now, when you're looking at this, it doesn't look like much here, but what you got is 100 grams of a tuna steak. It's straightforward, and also it's actually a pretty good serving size based on what I have. Because I always find a quarter pound, because 100 grams is around a quarter pound of stuff. Like when I do tartare for myself, I do 100 grams to get a quarter pound of beef. A little bit of cloud in every bite. Take that, Ronald. But I find, again, 100 grams is a perfect serving for me. You don't need anything too big. Anyways, you just take it out, and then what you do is you just mix it around in here, just to get it all coated up in the marinade. And then once that's done, you can just keep this aside in the fridge until you're ready to cook it. Ideally, if you have enough time to spare, you would keep this to cook for around a good 30 minutes. Otherwise, well, whatever you can get. I try to do mine for 30 minutes while I'm doing this. And so, now that I got this marinated, I can get rid of the glove, put this back in the fridge, and then we can get started on the rest of the grilling. So, if anyone's been following me for the last few years, you know my setup for my barbecue, but I know that I've gotten some new viewers recently, so I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. I like to use this MasterChef Kamado egg for my grilling purposes. So if you want to know why it's called a Kamado egg, it's like this giant oval piece of equipment that you have that's basically shaped like an egg. So it's deep on the bottom. You can use it for smoking, indirect cooking, and it's pretty well equipped. I got mine for about 400 bucks Canadian, which I'm guessing US is going to be around 300 bucks. And this was 7 years ago, so it served me well. The only thing I am noticing though is that it's starting to wear out a little bit at the bottom. Like I'm starting to lose a little bit of the strength in the bottom of the barrel. So it's almost like I got 1, maybe 2 seasons at best left for this. So we'll see how this does. And if things start to wear out even more than I expect, I may have to replace this down the road. And the thing about charcoal is, unlike propane, as you already know, this one, it takes a little bit of time to get it set up and to get the heat going, make sure it's stable, so that way you can get your barbecue going. Whereas with the propane, it's a lot more straightforward and it's quicker to do. So that means if you want to do like 1 steak, 2 steaks for a day, then you could do that. When I do my charcoal barbecuing, I always make sure to do like a bit more stuff like vegetables, a potato, and just something a bit longer, because if I'm going to take all this time for getting the heat going, I may as well go all out. Oh, speaking of which, hang on, let me pull a potato out of my ass. So once again, I got this going, baked potato in the tin foil. As always, I like to use my quick, speedy process to get this done. You poke some holes in this after washing it, put it in the microwave on the baked potato setting. It cooks it for about 4 minutes. And then afterwards, you could just dress it up with olive oil. I like to add some extra garlic in there for flavoring, and because I'm Ukrainian, it just comes natural to me. Put in foil, cook it on 400 degrees, and it's going to be ready in 30 minutes. Whereas if you did it from scratch, you're going to be looking at around an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending on your heat that you're working with. So it's a way to speed up the process. Now, I'm going to put the potato aside, and I think it's going to be time to get the heat going. And, well, 5:01, so it's Friday. It's just about 5 o'clock, which means everyone's going to be punching out. And, well, can we cue the montage now? There. So yeah, apologies everybody. I was kind of busy working on the potato, had some company over, etc. So I didn't get to do too much of this. Now, potato's been applied, and one thing you kind of didn't see during the montage is I did have a little bit of a issue with the bottom grill to hold the charcoal. It didn't fall through, so it shows that I'm actually having a lot more wear and tear on this thing than I expected. Hang on a second, let's get this adjusted. There we go, much better. Yep, you see me adjust this thing right now, live on camera. So this thing's been cooking for about a good 15 minutes, flipped it over, so it means it'll be ready to go. I'll be able to get my tuna soon, get my little greenery all set up, and then we'll wait and see. But something else that's equally important, my brew is done. And luckily I was able to pull another one out of thin air to be able to keep this going. It's from a brewery that I know kind of well that I've seen before, Le Trèfle Noir, and it's a pils they call Ça se boit toute seule. Ça se boit. It drinks all alone. And I'm sure people who hear Quebec French think this is a weird language. It's like you hear French from France and then French from here. It's like night and day. But essentially this thing is like you could drink it alone. And from what I could see, it seems like it's an official beer of a Festibière. So it seems to be some kind of a beer festival that takes place all around the province. From what I could see on the can here, May 31st to June 2nd is taking place in Sherbrooke. That's like on the eastern side of Quebec. And I think it's like an hour and 45-minute drive from here. People who know the area better than me can correct it. Lévis from June 27th to June 30th. That's like somewhere within the north of Quebec City. And then Quebec City is from August 15th to the 18th. I just got it for the name and for this whole Quebec slang thing, because I thought that's like fertile material for the channel. But I also thought I could do at least 5% Pilsner after doing that New England IPA, because you got to keep things real. So unlike the other one that looks like orange juice, this looks like a typical blonde beer. Tasty, easygoing, and hopefully something that goes down nice. And it does. It has my approval. So while we're at the final steps of the potato, I will get my little salad put together, because once again, you got to have some greenery for some nutrients, vegetables, and etc. And I thought I'd try something a little bit different today that I haven't really done as much before. So usually I would do zucchini, I would do eggplant, sometimes mushrooms, and on some crazy occasion some celery, which, by the way, I have some over here because I have a friend on the comment section or text message who would say, you're the crazy guy who's always doing the celery, so I got to keep up some appearances for him. But that'll be for later. First thing I'm going to do is cut up some broccoli and then to just put that together. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing with this, to tell you the truth. It's a case of I'm just making up a recipe as I go along, but why not? And broccoli, I love when it's charred. It was my buddy that told me about, you got to do this, man, because it just has a nice oaky flavor when it's browned up a little bit. And I figured, why not? So I'm going to do that. Make sure it's in the smaller pieces. And what I'm actually going to be doing too is I am going to line up on one of these little pans I picked up earlier today. These are barbecue grill pans. I want to get something that's a little bit more long-term, but for what I need it for right now, I feel like that I don't want to spend too much for it. Just something a bit more simple. Just break up the broccoli, put it all on here. And actually, I'm just gonna cut this remaining stem off so it's easier for me to work with. Split that up. And I'll do the same thing for the other piece of broccoli. I'm telling you, as much as I love having grilled vegetables on this thing, the truth is, you can't always have vegetables from time to... I butchered that, didn't I? As much as I like having grilled meat, you can't always have meat. You gotta also have your vegetables too for vitamins. And this is like a perfect way to do it and try something new. And find out if it works well on camera, because I've had some bad experiences with stuff in the past, which I'm not gonna get into right now. So once I have that done, I'm gonna get to the next thing I'm trying out. Asparagus. There. For some reason, you gotta break off the stems when you put asparagus together. I forget why. I'm guessing it's not as edible, but I'm not going to be complaining or, you know, going against the status quo. Just doing as I told. Doing as I told. Me fail English? That's impossible. So once this is all done, I'm just going to line it up on here, throw this aside, and the other thing I'm going to do is maybe just get a red pepper all cut up for myself. At first I was thinking of doing a more elaborate salad with this, like cut up into smaller pieces, like really small. But the truth is, I don't need to do anything too crazy because I have the pan. I've got enough support that I don't need to get it all too small. Just like have this all sliced up, and then it's going to be perfect for me. As for dressing, well, we're going to get to that afterwards. But I'm just going to finish cutting this up and then we'll figure it out. Oh yeah, get a little bit of beer first. Well, I had to also go get my tuna because it's already been close to half an hour. Should be ready to grill soon. And my little dressing is just going to be plain olive oil once again on this thing. So nothing too crazy. And as you're going to see here, I got my little vegetable medley all put into place. Broccoli, asparagus, red pepper, just a little added color in here. So I'm just going to add it on. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to add the oil over here, just to drench it like nice and easily. Okay, and then we'll let that grill. And you don't want to let it sit too long, like maybe a couple minutes to soften up, and then that's it. And then next thing I'm going to do, and I should probably get the other glove. There we go. Oh, that's not a glove, that's a bag. but some people say same difference depending on your perspective. So what you want to do then is, once you have this all marinated, is just lay this on top of the grill, and then you want to flip your tuna afterwards. Like, you're probably going to be looking at 4 to 6 minutes per side depending on the thickness, and then after that flip it again, maybe to make sure it's all cooked. And then the way to know that your tuna is all cooked on the inside too, because remember you're thawing it out, is that it's only supposed to be slightly pink within the center of it, not totally pink. If it's totally pink, you didn't let it cook enough and you got to keep going on it. But there's only certain kinds of tuna you can have raw, and I believe one of them is ahi tuna, which is the one that is usually used for poke bowls, which I have done before with tuna and salmon. So if you want, I do have a video on the top right corner to show you how to make your own poke bowl at home. Because again, the price that you pay to do it at home versus what you pay in the restaurant, it almost feels like it's extortion. Here, so I'm just putting the marinade on here. Then finally, you can close this up and then make sure it's timed well. Oh yeah, I almost forgot a crucial step. Operation Celery is under control. Yeah, but you know what they say, serenity now, insanity later. Well, everybody, dinner is all set to go. So just to recap, in case you haven't been paying attention for the last little while, and if you haven't been paying attention for a while, then what the hell are you doing watching my video? Oh, weird. I'm going to leave it as is because I notice I'm kind of at an angle, but I'm just going to pretend I'm a Batman villain. And yeah, because they're always in their, whenever a Batman villain from the 60s show was in their lair, they always were filmed at an angle. Or if you're thinking like me, you think of The Simpsons and Adam West is going on a ramble asking about how come Batman doesn't dance anymore. It's same concept. I'm rambling again, aren't I? Okay, so we got a nice vegetable medley here of asparagus, broccoli, red peppers. I got this piece of celery here because I'm an idiot that way. I got a baked potato with some garlic, and I'm going to add some salt to that afterwards. But the pièce de résistance is going to be the tuna steak in my homemade marinade. So let's see how this looks with a quality control. There you go. I don't know if it's going to be noticeable on camera, but when you look at this, you should only see a slight pink when it's cooked properly. You don't want to have it very vibrant pink because that means it's raw. You got to keep cooking it. And it's delicious. The one thing I probably should have added to this in the marinade was adding a little bit of minced garlic, because I do have a fresh garlic bulb that I really got to put to good use. But hey, all things considered, it's a pretty good meal. And a great way to do my very first grilling vlog of 2024, which again, it's hard to believe I'm waiting until this long to do it, just because I always get a jump start in it in March or April. This year, it's just been kind of weird. And I say this, it's been a bit weird considering I am trying to cut up some celery. So it does soften up a little bit when you put it on the grill, but the only way you can really soften up celery is if you're making it in a chicken soup. Like when you add your carrots in there, it becomes so soft because it's boiled up. But it is what it is. And it's a great little meal to wrap up this episode, which means I'm going to thank you all for watching this latest edition of the Wanyuki Cheese Cafe. So once again, if you like what you see, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoy my wanders, my cooking, my stupidity I show off all the time on the channel, and etc. Especially the etc. The etc. is what makes this thing. And if you have any ideas for future episodes, whether it's a recipe at home, someplace I can check out in the city, leave in the comment section and I'll see what I could do. Till then, take care, and see you all next time. I love this stuff. This is what summer is all about.